What speaks to intent more? Tires or the color of your seatbelt?
Oh, functionally, the tires. But the seatbelt, in terms of marketing, the seatbelt for sure.
I mean, that means you're going fast, right?
Well, look, it's 455 horse. We know it's over 5. Welcome back to Brake Check. My name is Brian, and behind me I have the 2021 Chevrolet Camaro 1SS 1LE. That's the 6th generation and most likely the last generation. As sad as that makes us, we're happy to be driving it because, let's be honest, they're not going to be around much longer. This one's special because it's light, because it has good power and no boost to get there, and it has its crosshairs sharply aimed at the PP2 Mustang GT, or now the Mustang Mach-1. Let's see how that goes.
Oh, hey, sorry. Just working out here in my muscle car. Long, low, and wide. That's what you like in a car, and that's what this is. What does that mean? That means it looks awesome. It also means you can't see out of it, so there is that. That being said, is it that bad? Nah, it's really not that bad. In fact, this whole interior is pretty ergonomic. GM's done their trick again. That trick I call practicality. It's practical in this car. The screen's tilted down a little bit. What does that mean? It means that there's no glare. In fact, there's not much glare in this car anywhere. There's a little bit maybe around the instrument panel and the vents on the side, but that's about it. Everything's where it should be. The shifter, the Tremec, unbelievable. It's also paired with these nice flappy paddles. Why does a manual have flappy paddles? Well, that's really just a rev match, and it does the same thing on both sides. It's just on, off. But it's a pretty cool trick. Also, HVAC, the temperature control, you literally turn the actual vent, the whole bezel around the vent, to go warmer or cooler. Neat trick, intuitive, should be in more cars. Now, how does all this affect the drive? Let's find out. All right, Brian. We've worked out as much as we can. We've toned. We're ready to go. This thing's supposed to be really special. Show us.
Let's find out. More than 60. Good grief.
Wow.
Holy
okay,
crap.
So 0 to speed we can't mention
right
in no time at all.
At all.
And I want you to recognize that it just went so fast it passed its father.
It passed its grandfather. Its grandfather. That was a Gen 3 and the rust over there.
Will the Gen 6, how soon before the Gen 6 is a yard ornament?
Oh man. Whoa, rev match out rev match me. Do you hear that? By the way, you can't rev match and it rev match for you because then you just rev too high. All right, Craig, here's the special part about this. It has mag ride.
Yep.
And it's not just a one-way pony. Nope. This is called a turn.
Yeah, turning. Oh wait, Camaros can do that.
And it grips really well.
These Recaro seats help him pretty good too.
Very.
We watch out, Postal Inspector.
They would just scared him. Rev match helps you on the down. I would not normally use that, but we're not totally familiar with this car yet. The beauty is there's not one button to turn it off, Craig. There's 2.
There's 2. Yep.
And now you can do it the human way.
Which is more fun.
Okay, so the hat trick to this car, Craig, what makes it special is that it's not just a Hellcat.
Right.
Or a fast German straight line thing.
Okay.
This thing handles really, really well.
So this is a good Texas sports car, and you're saying you could take it to the track.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And so what I'm getting at here, what makes it that special is right off the bat, the chassis is incredible. And this is coming from a person who has driven a lot of other pony cars.
And which chassis is this?
This is the 6th gen Alpha chassis.
Yep.
So the Alpha chassis is a GM chassis share between the ATS and this.
Yep.
And they modified it for some other uses, but it was made for this originally.
And we've been fortunate enough to drive some of those other chassis, other models on this chassis. So far, everyone I've been in, incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is no different.
Right.
And look, the Mustang and Challenger are still really good cars.
Yeah.
But GM accidentally made a sports car.
A really good
one. And so it's weird to me to have a pushrod motor in this chassis because it is so good, it almost wants a freer revving engine. Not to say that this is bad at all.
Sure.
But when you compare it to the Hemi or you compare it to the Coyote, those are kind of revvier engines.
Okay.
Whereas this just wants to hang around down low and it's fine doing it.
Yeah.
All day long.
Right.
On top of that, you get Magical Mag Ride,
Oh man.
which thank God that's becoming a thing
Yes.
because it's really good.
Yes.
We are in track mode right now, and I can go into tour, and you'll hear the exhaust get quiet. It still pops a little bit.
Yeah.
And the ride just goes supple.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're the old man that has to commute every day and don't want to spill your coffee, you can do that. On the way
Yeah.
home, when you've had a long day, you can wind it out.
This is not an uncomfortable place to be.
It's not. The Recaro seats are really good.
Yeah.
We've driven a lot of Recaros that aren't great.
That's right.
These are great.
These are actually good Recaros.
I feel like you can go for hours in these and not
And
complain.
Recaro, because the reason Recaro gets a bad rap in some of their seats is because they're built for the track.
Totally.
They're built to keep you from moving around.
Right.
Which is sometimes uncomfortable on a long commute.
And I feel like this splits the difference.
I feel like it does a good job.
Okay, so we agree on that. Next, you have good transmission, good engine. We got that covered.
Yeah.
The shock tuning's good. The spring rate feels really good too. It's not so harsh that it bounces over things.
Right.
It's actually supple enough to maintain traction over obstacles and bumps, which is really good. And the tires are just glue. They're absolute glue. These are Goodyear Eagle F1s.
Yep.
And I think the tread wear is about 0 on these. So
In fact, it might be time to replace them after this review.
yeah, this car has 370 miles on it, and I've got a feeling that they're about done.
Right, so buy more tires if you get this.
Just buy a stack
Just
of them.
invest in them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All that out of the way, dynamically, this seems purpose built.
Yep.
And clearly it's not, it's a 2+2, but you're not going to put real
No.
humans back there. And the MVH is quite low considering, but this is no qualms about it. This is meant for the track. Whereas the Z01 is competing with the Hellcats and the GT500s and that kind of stuff.
Right.
This is mopping the floor with Performance Package 2 Mustangs.
So is this, okay, PP2 or Shelby GT350?
God, the torque is phenomenal. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
PP2 or GT350?
I think this is targeting the PP2 according to GM.
At least, and especially currently.
Currently, well, when it came out. Well, currently the Mach 1 has replaced the PP2, which is just
point.
marginally more power, but not much. I think that's a really good match. I can't wait to see a matchup of those on track.
And those both have the trimming.
They both have a Tremec. Now, this has the 6060. I think that one has the 3160. I'll put the name of it down below. But it's the lower torque rating of the two.
Okay.
It's the one out of the GT350.
Okay.
I think the GT350 is quick enough that it gives this thing a run for its money just a little bit. Because there is a power deficit.
For a quote-unquote muscle car, this feels agile.
It does, yes.
Very agile.
Yeah, it does feel agile.
To me, was the GT350 shit. Trick.
Yeah, it really was.
So.
But the PP2 and the PP1, which we've driven the PP1, and Mach 1 is basically a PP2, the steering is a little more communicative here.
Okay,
And
yeah, no, I agree with that.
it's, I mean, they're not that the Mustang steering is bad, it's just it's a little bit better.
Before we get into our wrap-up and Hipster Score and Who's For, what do you think about this soft touch Alcantara? Alcantara-like.
I was wondering if you could peel it off and replace it. Like, are there layers? Can you like shed the skin of it? Because I've got a feeling after about a year of occasional track use, you're gonna wear right through it. It feels like it.
I immediately, and we haven't driven this much. We haven't had a short time with this. Thank you, Shot and Kirk. Go see our man Charles Brockman.
Yep.
It's hot. Your hands
is warm,
sweat,
yeah.
You know.
Well,
so I worry about that long term.
There's one more thing that I really like with this car, Greg, and it's definitely for the track, and it's
Brake check.
It's the brakes.
Jeez Louise. All right, Brian. It's time for Hipster Scores.
Let's do this.
3, 2, 1,
4. What?
4. Man.
Did you
Please explain
were you in
how,
the car
other
with me?
than it's not a Raptor, it should get any points.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hipsters do not care about tailpipes.
Okay, I'll lay it out for you. One,
You know
not
what
a
hipsters
Raptor.
prefer? No tailpipe.
Well, that's true. That's true. But they also like old school things, which pushrod
How's
V8.
this old school?
Pushrod V8.
They don't know that.
Okay, it is cafe racer cool. For modern muscle cars, I'll say it's that. Manual transmission, Apple CarPlay, not a Raptor. 4 points.
No.
Where'd you
It's
get
not a
to?
Raptor. That is it.
But that's 1 point. Where'd you get to? Oh, Apple CarPlay.
No, that's it. I mean, there's nothing else. Well, there's no hipster on the planet that likes any Camaro.
Well, that's probably true.
So until I start
But-
putting plaid on this, forget it.
Here's a real question. When do mullets become hipster cool? Hipster cool?
Oh,
Because
now
they're
that's a
coming
good
around.
point. So the
Because
mullets
then-
are coming around. So maybe if the mullet trend continues, you may have a
Okay.
point.
All right. Let's.
But so you're ahead of your score. You're ahead of your game.
No,
So here's
pretty
the overlanding. I'm gonna-
Technically.
You know how Kia calls their minivan an MPV?
Oh yeah.
You know what this is?
What?
It's an MAV. It's a muscle activity vehicle because you can actually you can roll those seats down and you can actually sleep in there
Look,
if you really want to.
If you live by yourself and have no friends, you can go camping by yourself.
You can do some boondocking in the Walmart parking lot in this. I'm just saying.
Okay.
All right. So Brian, that leads us to the last thing, final thoughts here, and that is, who is this car for?
It's simple to me.
Other than mullet people.
Well, that was the first person. There's one more person, and it's for track rats that are really discerning, and image isn't the most important thing to them. So
I'm glad you mentioned that because this is a little bit of a sleeper.
it's a bit of a sleeper, right?
Yeah.
In the muscle car community, everyone goes, "Oh, GT350," because it's just notorious in the sound and all that stuff. 500, ZL1,
Yes.
ZL1
Yes.
1LE,
Yep.
Hellcats,
Right.
Vets, all these things.
Right.
This thing is wicked.
This like slips under the radar. No one talks about it.
No one talks about it. You literally barely knew what it was when we came out, when we
Right.
first brought the car up, and you had to look and you go, "Oh, okay, I get it." And it's clearly a track-focused car that doesn't have a bazillion horsepower, but it has a lot. It makes use of every bit of it. It's incredibly balanced, and I think if you are a Porsche person, but you don't have Porsche money,
Oh.
this is going to get you really close because it has all the coolers. It has a good transmission, where the PP1 Mustang, now the Mach 1 excludes this, the PP1 and PP2 Mustang have the Get Ready Trans, which is kind of a problem in track use.
Very good point. No, I'm with you. So, and I think one of the things Chevy's done so well is they've made their V6s look so cool,
That's true too.
which makes you not notice this bad boy.
Right.
So, like
Right.
this thing slips under the radar because you see so many V6 Mustangs rolling around. And you're like,
And
oh, it's
Camaros.
just another. Sorry, Mustang.
Well, but at one
Camaros.
point you could get a 4-cylinder 1LE at one point with this,
yeah,
and a V6 1LE. So I can see like. And we don't speak fluent Camaro, to be honest with you, and I don't think anybody
Yeah, I
really
kept
does
saying
or the
Mustang
masses
instead of
down.
Camaro.
Right, exactly. But this segment, I think of the three, the Challenger's just too heavy for track purposes.
Okay.
The Mustang, you need the Mach 1 or better because of the transmission, although it's quite good. This is just unheard of good, is what it is.
Okay. So you've ruled out the Mustang PP1.
Yep.
You've kind of ruled out the Challenger.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this.
This is not a fair question.
This or GT350?
Oh, long-term or short-term ownership, because the Voodoo scares me for a 10-year proposition.
5 years.
Depends on the price and what's available at the time. That's just impossible to make.
This or the Mach 1?
The Mach 1 looks cooler, I think. And I think it's cooler to more people, but I'm weirdly more comfortable in this in terms of headroom.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think, because I get in the Mustang, and now the Recaros are pretty good, but the non-Recaro Mustang, I feel like my head's like, I'm kind of looking under a visor the whole time.
I would
This
have to
doesn't
drive
do
both
that.
kind of back to back, I think.
Yeah, I
and
can
depends
see
on the
that.
deal I got, because you can pick these up for 40.
That's a lot of car for 40.
This is a lot of car for
Yeah, it's
40
a lot of
grand.
car for 40.
And then my wild card for you, this or the Supra.
Oh, that's really good. This because of the manual.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's so close though, because that Supra pulls so hard and really is just as quick as this sucker.
I think it's quicker than this because it never
maybe
lets
quicker.
up. It never lets up.
But the manual on this just makes it more engaging and more fun.
Yeah.
And you can get in a good driving position with this sucker, and it's just, everything's where it should be.
It's a big surprise. That's what
It
this
really
is.
is.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we've got an episode.
Let us know if this is terrible or bearable.
Thanks for listening.
watching. What?
Yeah, you always say thanks for watching on the podcast.
Check out our podcast.
Speaking of that,
Thanks for watching, listening. We'll see you next time. The grip is incredible.
all right, yeah, then we can just transition that to where we wrap it up.
Deal. We're about out of gas, by the way.